I'm Farah Duro, and you're listening to the PCOS Revolution podcast. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the PCOS Revolution podcast. I hope that everyone's enjoying your holidays and you're not getting too stressed out. Today, I just thought that I want to share a story with you that I find very inspirational. And it actually comes from our licensed massage therapist that we have at Florida Complete Wellness. Her name is Joesee Jacobs, and she actually overcame a lot of the symptoms and difficulties with PCOS through Chinese medicine and altering her diet. So I'd like to welcome Joesee to the show. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So Joesee, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you discovered that you had PCOS.
Yeah, so I was about 15 and going to high school, and my periods were just very, very irregular. I went through a period where I did not have any menses or anything like that for about 6 months. So I knew that something was off and something was wrong because I would still get, like PMS symptoms and stuff like that, but I would never, bleed. So I convinced my mom to take me to the doctor, and they did an ultrasound and blood work and everything, and it came back that I had PCOS. So their first course of action was to put me on the birth control pill. And they said that that would help and it would eliminate the symptoms and I would actually have a period. And when I did have that period, it would be probably a lot worse in terms of pain just because I hadn't had one for 6 months. So that buildup would just cause a lot more pain. So I took the pill for probably, I want to say like 6 months, and the first 2 cycles that I had with it were completely horrible. I actually had to like leave school because of, clotting, and just the pain was awful. So after a while, my hormones were all over the place, and I would go from, just laughing and having a good time to hysterically crying in a split second. I believe M&M commercials used to make me cry.
Oh, no.
And we actually, as a family, developed a code word possum for every time that I thought that I was going to cry. And I was just so on edge that anything anybody could say or, look at me the wrong way, and I would just break down. So I went back to the doctor and I told him that, the pill was just making, while I had my period, I just, the other symptoms that came with that were just not something that I could sustain, and I couldn't bear to be an emotional wreck all the time. So they went with an IUD, and, the hormone issue kind of subsided a little bit. My periods were not great, but at least they were regular. And, they ask you when you get those to check them. Often you have to, do a self-check to make sure that it's in the right position and everything. But one day, I could not find it, and it was nowhere to be found and lost. So we went back to the doctor. They did an ultrasound, and the IUD had actually dislodged itself and, gone all the way up into my uterus. And from there, they had to put me on, Pitocin and make me dilate and actually extract the IUD. Well, when they were doing that, it was extremely painful for one, but for two, they found like a grapefruit-sized cyst on my left ovary. With that being said, they said, well, you can either do surgery to have it popped and, that would get rid of it. However, since I do have PCOS, it was probably, if I were to stay on birth control, it would probably come back and grow and be about the same size. Or they told me that I could do nothing. But in that doing nothing, they told me that I couldn't run. I couldn't do anything that would jar my body because the cyst was so heavy that it could have twisted my ovary and then I would have lost it. So out of frustration between me and my mom, we decided to do nothing and actually look into acupuncture and Chinese medicine. I went to the acupuncturist once a week for about 5 weeks, I'd say. We did Chinese herbs, and she actually gave me herbs that would actually rupture that huge cyst that I have. which was extremely painful. But between the acupuncture, the herbs, and I also changed my diet, she recommended that I eat paleo, which when I was in high school, I was 250 pounds. So I was completely overweight, which is definitely a sign of PCOS. And a lot of it was hormonal weight. And with my diet change and with me doing acupuncture, I actually, in a year, lost half of my body weight. So
That's incredible. Oh my goodness.
yeah.
And to see you now, you're such a little thing. I mean, I can't imagine.
I definitely still have my struggles, especially with diet, because, I do live with my parents. If I was living on my own, I think it would be a little bit easier, but they don't want to eat some of the stuff that I eat. So that is where I find it a little bit challenging. And I definitely notice now if my diet isn't where it's supposed to be, that everything comes back from, the hormonal hair growth and, from extreme rises in my testosterone, I get, my little mustache. I definitely gain weight in, my stomach and my hips and everywhere that really weight falls with somebody who has PCOS. So it was definitely life changing to receive acupuncture and, do that treatment, because I was told that, if I didn't do anything about it, that I would never have kids. So, and that's something that's extremely important to me. So to actually have the clean ovaries and, be taking care of myself, it's not just for me, but it's, for my future family and everything else. So,
And you're 21 right now?
yes, 21.
21. And so when you started Chinese herbs, how long did it take for the cyst to actually rupture? Or did it physically rupture and you felt like, oh my God, what is this? It's so painful. Or did you just go back and they're like, no, it's gone?
So I actually did feel it rupture. My parents were in California on a trip, and I was supposed to go to school, and I woke up at like 3 o'clock in the morning in excruciating pain. And that was only about a week after I started taking the herbs that she prescribed me. So I did physically feel it. I ended up going to the emergency room because I felt like something was completely and totally wrong, which, she encouraged, my acupuncturist encouraged me to just go look just to make sure everything was okay and my body was reacting to the herbs the right way. And they did an ultrasound and it showed that the cyst had actually ruptured. So, yeah, but I would much rather take that 12-hour period of excruciating pain than lose my ovary. So, you
Definitely.
know,
Definitely. And there are so many, for those of you not familiar with Chinese herbal medicine, there are specific herbs that actually are for ovarian cysts that are very effective. And, some of them are iodine based and some of them are basically from kelp. And then others are plants and minerals. So the herbs that I don't know her specific formula she used because I was not the acupuncturist treating her, but her acupuncturist and herbalist used, I'm pretty sure, in the family of we call phlegm clearing or dampness clearing herbs, and some for blood stasis or blood moving. So those herbs can actually be anti-inflammatory and also good for pain relief. In addition, that's how we do our formulas, not just one herb, but it's a family of herbs. So in one formula, we could have about 20 to 25 different herbs, and they're all working together to help with the pattern that you're being treated for. So, along with that, when you did have the cyst rupture, did you then have a normal cycle, or like going back to that moment, what did your body go through?
after that, my periods were actually extremely regular, extremely on time. With her whole treatment, I also did, you know, basic cycle charting and, my basal body temperature every single morning so that I knew when I ovulated, I knew that, when my period was coming, and I knew if, something was off because I could compare, all of that. But from that moment, I did have a regular cycle, and I actually stopped going to the OBGYN that I was going to that diagnosed me. And I went to a holistic OBGYN, and they did an ultrasound, and I'm telling you, I did not even know what I was looking at the screen, because typically before when I looked at my ovaries through ultrasound, I knew where they were because of all of the cysts.
Mm.
And so when I went back and got my ultrasound, I had no idea where they were because, there were no cysts on my ovaries whatsoever.
Amazing. And how long did you take Chinese herbs and how long did you do acupuncture for?
So I did acupuncture for about 3 months.
Mhm.
And I did the herbs for the full 3 months. I should have continued to do that. However, when I was doing that, it was extremely expensive. The lady
Mhm.
that we were seeing, and she did not take insurance. So my mom was having to pay out of pocket for all of my treatments. So after 3 months, when, I got the clear diagnosis that everything was fine, we weaned myself, off of acupuncture and the herbs, but I did keep up with the diet because I knew that if I went back to eating the way that I was before, that they were just going to come back. So,
And so that's been now that you're with us, you're getting regular treatments again
yes.
as part of being on our staff. But definitely the herbal component is so important. And I feel like that's just not stressed enough with Chinese medicine. It's a system. It's not just herbs and it's not just acupuncture. A lot of times with PCOS, we're treating, in all aspects, diet, herbs, and acupuncture. And sometimes we use mind abdominal therapy, or you can call it tui knot. There's many different ways to help with congestion. And not every woman with PCOS is going to have visible cysts, but definitely in your case, you knew that you had lots of little fluid filled cysts and that one of them just decided to get out of control and take over
Yeah,
your ovary, actually.
exactly.
I'm really glad that you're able to save your ovary and to get rid of your cysts in that way. And I'm sorry you had to go through that 12 hours of pain. But I think that definitely we've seen patients who've had their ovaries removed or one ovary removed at a very young age sometimes. And, it's a difficult piece of the puzzle to really determine the best treatment. But you went with your instinct and, it definitely worked out. So you've been having regular cycles since, or how did your cycle get off track when you stopped the treatment?
For the most part, I've had pretty regular cycles. I do notice, high stress anybody, if you have high stress in your life, things are going to be, you know, off a little bit. Now it's more, if it's off at all, it's earlier than it should be. I never receive, I don't ever get it late. It's always, if it shows up out of whack, it's always showing up early. So, but as far as pain goes, I can tell you that my periods are far less painful. And that also is a total reflection of my diet. So if I have a cheat and I eat something that has dairy in it or sugar or anything like that, I can definitely, that impacts my cycle extremely hard. So,
Now, can you tell us? I know that we are not, we know there's so much more to weight loss than diet because a lot of it is mindset as well. But you managed to lose over 100 pounds. So, can you please tell us what your diet consists of now and how do you keep that off?
so now I focus on high protein for sure. And I try to eat very clean vegetables. Since I actually started working at Florida Complete Wellness, you informed me that, red meat is probably not the best choice.
Mhm.
So I, stick to, white lean meats as much as possible. Sometimes it's harder than others because, you do go through that period of like, oh, I really want a steak after you've eaten steak growing up and then you
Mhm.
have to stop. So it can be a little challenging, but not only diet, but exercise too, making sure that I have plenty of cardio and weights in there too. Diet, I will tell you, is a huge factor though. Even when I was 15 and eating paleo, exercise wise, I didn't do a whole lot of exercise. We lived in the mountains, so my exercise would include going on a 30-minute walk, and that was enough for my body to just shed all of that off. So,
And you've posted some of your pictures in we have a 30-day challenge coming up starting January 5th. And you posted some of your pictures, and you're so nice to share your story in the group already, even though we haven't started yet. We're all kind of getting to know each other. And it was pretty amazing the transformation that you had. And I'm really excited that you're going to be part of this group. And if you, for anybody listening who's thinking about having a little bit of or needing some support, we have a free jumpstart that we're doing, a 30-day jumpstart program coming up. It's online, so you can do it from anywhere in the world. Joesee's actually going to be part of that group. Liliana also, who's part of our staff, who also has PCOS, she is also going to be in the group, and we are really excited about it. It's the first time we've ever done anything like this, and you can actually go to freepcoscourse.com to sign up, and you will get an email immediately from us with an invitation into our Facebook group. So I'm really excited that this is going to be happening. Can you tell us a little bit about what recommendations you would give for anyone who is trying to lose weight with PCOS?
My biggest piece of advice is to be like, start small. I know that when you look at all of these things in terms of diet, all these things that, don't really agree with PCOS and things that, don't work well with your body, it can be really, really daunting. And when it's daunting, it can be really easy to give up and, say it's not worth it. However, I will be honest with you, for me, there was, a detoxing period, getting everything out of my system that, was not good for it. And I would have horrible, sugar cravings and everything else. But it's really on the education level of, if you're having a craving for this, what source of protein can you eat to counteract that craving? Or what else can you eat that's good for you that will counteract that craving? And I think that's what I'm really excited for about this group, is because you're not going to be in this alone through this group. And, you have Dr. Duro, myself, Liliana, and so many other amazing women that, will be able to help you and make sure that you stay on top of it, but really to just take it one day at a time. And, if you can, I mean, walking is a great source of cardio. And if you start with walking, if it's something, your body is moving, you're doing something that you might not already be doing before. And the diet change alone with that little piece of cardio worked wonders for me. I'm not, not saying that it will for everybody, but that would be my piece of advice. And make sure you have a great support team, which if you join this group, I know you will. So
And we are going to be keeping this group open throughout the year. We're going to have several different challenges, but if you are hearing this and it's, already into February or March, still join anyway, because there's a lot of good information in there. We have recipes. Of course, we're going to have planners, exercise planners, and meal planners, and all kinds of videos for you. And I just think our goal for this year should be to actually take back control from PCOS and really like take charge of our minds and our bodies, because so many times we get overwhelmed with all the information online and everything that, in Google, and what our friends are doing, and what's supposed to be, effective, and that sort of thing. So we really need a plan. And I think that, this is why this is so important. So as far as habits, that's really one of my focuses this year, is getting into the habit of not giving in sometimes when we're traveling, or we're in the car stuck in traffic. Like, what can we eat? Having some preparation and planning involved so that we have healthy snacks available. The exercise routine is already set in stone. Like, it's not going anywhere. We have to do this, even if our brain says, well, right now you could be doing all kinds of other things besides this exercise, or eating other things besides, this, source of protein that you're craving chocolate, or you're craving this and that. You could really actually try to stop those defeating self-talk thoughts. And I think that's one of the keys that we're going to focus on as well in the group. So do you have any recommendations on how to get rid of that voice in your head?
for me, it was, I didn't really see a huge change in myself personally. I think that it takes longer for you to see it than it takes other people to see it. And my mom actually, after, I started, we changed my diet. My parents actually ate paleo with me for the most part, unless we went out to eat. And she actually told me, like, oh wow, you're losing a lot of weight. Like, you look really, really good. So for me, it wasn't the weight problem. I always struggled with that. I wanted to be skinny just like all of my friends and everything else. But for me, after I realized that like I had PCOS and my hormones were out of whack, as soon as I figured out that like I could control all of that with my diet, and not just fad diet that you hear, but eating clean foods and just sticking with that. I mean, honestly, for me, that shut all those voices out in my head. And there were days where I was like, man, I really want a cheeseburger. But I had to slap myself back into reality and be like, no, this is important. And for me, it was focusing on an end goal. So I know a lot of women with PCOS, they struggle to get pregnant. So if that's you know, focus on that. Like that is your end goal. And I'm telling you, if you set your eye on the prize at the end that, you're trying to reach, then the voices in your head won't necessarily, show through as much because, you'll be super dedicated to getting where you need to be. So
That is so inspirational. And I'm just so happy for you that I know this is a lifelong journey. It's not, I know that there's no quick fixes with PCOS, guys.
no,
And, so you put in the work and you're getting the results. And it's just amazing. So if you guys would like to hop on over and meet Joesee, meet myself and Liliana and the group, don't hesitate. You can go to freepcoscourse.com. We will be there, and I'll be doing Facebook Lives every Tuesday and answering questions. And I can't wait to, hear some of your stories also that you're going to have. We are really excited about transformation. And I know 30 days doesn't sound like a whole lot of time, but it is enough time to start changing your mental outlook and getting your habits actually in place to contribute to success with PCOS. So thank you so much, Joesee, for sharing your story. Is there
absolutely.
any parting guidance you'd like to give?
Parting guidance, yes. So, like you said, PCOS is, this is not something that's going to go away. I mean, it'll still affect your body forever, really. And so, one thing that you said to me, Dr. Duro, the other day is, in terms of finding a diet, is you have to find something that, you can maintain when you're 70, because this truly is not just, it's not just until I get pregnant, I have to eat like this, or, just until I get to this point. It is really, a lifelong thing. And so, if you can find a good, solid group of people, like what we're trying to build here with this challenge group, I would say jump for it, because you're going to need that. You need these people to help you and establish what you need to be doing, because this is for the rest of your life, so
That is so good. Yes, it definitely, it's not a quick fix, but we are here to help and make these decisions will actually impact the rest of your life, the things you'll be learning. So, so
yep.
excited. Thank you so much once again, Joesee. And I hope all of you have a wonderful week, and we look forward to seeing you soon in the group. Take care.
And that's the end of this episode of the PCOS Revolution podcast. If you've enjoyed the show and want to help me spread the word about how women with PCOS and hormonal imbalances can lead happier, more healthier lives, please head over to iTunes and leave us a review. They really do make a difference. If you'd like to have a question answered on the show or would like to recommend a guest, please go to floridacompletewellness.com/podcast. If you're on social media, you can follow me at facebook.com/Florida Complete Wellness and twitter.com/Florida Complete, where I post a lot of interesting research, webinars, and articles on our blog about really getting to the root of hormonal imbalances like PCOS. So it's a great way to stay in touch with the latest developments. Thanks so much for listening, and see you soon.